Professor Tibi, welcome from Germany to the University of Leiden. We had an honor, it is an honor to receive you here, and we had a symposium, a special Bassam Tibi-symposium here yesterday at the law faculty of the university. We were very pleased to present your new book, Islamism and Islam, in a Dutch translation. Can you give us some impressions on what happened yesterday?
Let me start with a remark. In few weeks I shall hit 75. This is so I lived 75 years, and I traveled all over the world, and I experienced a lot of honors.
Okay.
But yesterday was a day which belongs to the category unforgettable. Really, it is unforgettable.
Okay.
It's not only the honor, but it was the atmosphere, the argument, the intellectual atmosphere, the congeniality, and with you as leader, that was unforgettable.
That's
but
great.
there's one thing I must say,
Yes.
And this is I do not want to praise you. I'm a very honest man, but you see, a high category in Islam. I'm a Muslim. I'm a liberal Muslim. I am a reformed Muslim. But there are some basics in Islam to which I adhere, and one of which is an intellectual leader is an imam. And you were the moderator yesterday, and you were first-class moderator.
Okay.
And you were a wonderful imam.
Oh, you make me blush now, hè?
Okay.
Der wahre Imam, nicht? Ja, danke schön. Islamism and Islam. Can you give an idea about about the title? Let's start with the title. The difference between Islamism and Islam. I have the impression that's one of the key features of your work.
Because I am in the Netherlands. It is important to start with this story. Because the book was written in the United States at Yale University, and the final draft of the book was completed in Washington, D.C. At the Holocaust Museum. There's a Center for Research at the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., Center for Advanced Holocaust Studies. As the honor you gave me yesterday to organize the symposium Bassam Tibi, I had the honor to receive without applications. I did not apply for it. I received without an application an appointment at the Center for Advanced Holocaust Studies as the Resnick Fellow for the Study of Anti-Semitism. I was the first Muslim to enter that building. The Holocaust Museum, the first Muslim to enter the Institute for the Center for Advanced Holocaust Studies. What a great honor, And so the book is related. The final draft was completed in Washington, D.C. The book was written at Yale University, but the idea of the book was born in your country. 2005, the journal Nexus organized a launch to present a new edition of the journal, and that was an anniversary, and the Prime Minister of your country was there and received the first copy of the book, and we had the dinner, and next to me, 2005, next to me sat the director of Yale University Press.
There it all started. That's interesting.
We talked about Islam, and he knows that I have published a lot about Islam. He said, "I wish you published something for us." And at that time, I had no plan to go to Yale, and I never went to Yale before that. I was at Harvard, Cornell, Princeton, etc., Columbia University. But then I talked to him about Islam, and I said to him, there is a confusion between Islam and Islamism. People say Islamism is a terrorism, and the people who want to defend Islam, they say terrorism has nothing to do with Islam, so Islamism has nothing to do with Islam. So this is a great distinction. And some people say Islamism a part of Islam. So Islamism is Islam, and Islamism was always Islam. So people have no knowledge about the matter, and there's a great confusion. And I told him, this would be an idea to write a book for you about this. And he said to me, in Rotterdam, 2005,
yes,
during a dinner,
right,
and at the dinner your prime minister was present, as a guest of honor, a guest of honor, and I was there as an author because I am author of Nixos, and after that I wrote an outline and he liked it, and at that time I was I have been already appointed as Eddie White professor at Cornell University, one of the 7 Ivy League universities.
Yes, I know.
And then I asked him, would you allow? I mean, I asked my host at Cornell University, would you allow me to have in parallel another appointment at Yale University, because at that time there existed the Yale Initiative for the interdisciplinary study of anti-Semitism. And I am the founder of the Jewish-Islamic Dialogue, and I am an expert on Islamic anti-Semitism. Right. So I went to Yale 2007, and I commuted between Yale and Cornell for many years. And then in the years 2008 and 2009, I was exclusively at Yale, and I wrote this book. So
it all started in 2005 here in Rotterdam.
It started in Rotterdam.
It was written in 2009, and it was published in 2012. But if you allow me, and perhaps you don't want to talk about it, if that's the case, well, that's no problem. But what
I go like we are colleagues. But I mean the viewers should know that also. We are personal friends, but also intellectual friends. And there are 2 commitments that you and I share. One commitment is to the secular mindset. Secularity, or the best term for that is the French laïcité. And you wrote on that. You wrote a full book on that. And the other thing, and also you wrote a book on that, freedom of speech. So
that's true.
I go for the separation between religion and politics, and it is allowed to talk critical about religion. And I go for the freedom of speech.
Right.
And so you can ask in a free mindset.
What struck me very much was the preface, and in the preface you refer to the peer reviewing procedure. And now normally you have 1 or 2 peer reviews, but you said that this book had gone through a long process of 11 or 12 11 peer reviews
in 4 rounds. 4 rounds. And this is this is not normal, extraordinary.
And so what happened? Can you give us an idea? I mean, that tells us something about academic culture, about the controversy around this topic. I think that I personally find very interesting.
I mean, maybe some basic information. I was, from the beginning until my retirement, full professor at the University of Göttingen, a professor of international relations and director of the Center for International Affairs at that university. But I never, except the years as a student in Frankfurt, as a professor at the German university, I never felt comfortable in that country. By then and today. Because there are great limitations on freedom of expression in Germany. And already my Jewish teacher, Adorno, wrote about this in an article published, it was based on a radio presentation and published in the early 60s, Auf die Frage, was ist Deutsch? Answering the question, what is German? And Adorno says, he returned to Germany because he likes Immanuel Kant and his rationality and his enlightenment, because he liked the German language. But there are many things in Germany that he dislikes. And on his footsteps, I dislike the same things. And one of them is Germans do not like uncomfortable ideas, unbequeme Gedanken.
Unbequeme Gedanken, yeah.
And I wrote a book about this with title Basler Unbequeme Gedanken. And that's why yesterday, I mean, I come to the point, yesterday I was so pleased and so amused and pleased at the same time to speak under the title Leidener Unbequeme Gedanken.
Unbequeme Gedanken, yeah.
So the Germans do not like deviation from the dominating public view, and United States was my escape. From 1982 until 2010. In all these years, I was German professor and in parallel professor at Harvard, Princeton, Berkeley, and at the end Yale and Cornell.
Yes.
And I enjoyed their freedom of speech. And I wrote most of my books in English, but also the German books were completed at Harvard University. Yeah?
Right.
But America changed, and this has nothing to do with Trump. It
was earlier.
It started in the 90s.
Right.
Trump was in the 90s was a businessman in New York.
Yeah.
But people explain all evils taking place in the United States with Trump, and this is propaganda. This is wrong. Yeah.
Right.
And I started to feel that in the late 90s. So censorship, and the top of this censorship was this book, Islamism and Islam, in its American draft. As you said yesterday when you presented me, in the United States, you know United States, but I lived there longer than you did. In the United States, when you publish, they treat you like a student. You know, in Germany, if you are a professor and present the book to the publisher, and you have a big name, and I have a big name in Germany, so the publisher adopts the book, and they do some copy editing on it, and that's it. But in America, they send the article or the book to another professor to review the text and write an assessment about it. This is normal. But usually for journals, one reviewer,
one or two.
And for books, maximally two. And this takes about maybe a period of 2 to 4 months. But in my case, the reviewing took 2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
4 rounds. Four rounds of your reviewing with 11 reviewers. And the opposition to the book was very strong. And I have only
from what
in the book I state facts, facts, and the scholarly interpretation of the facts. And also in the United States, this is important for the promotion of your book. This book in Germany. This book is published by a university press. I am an academic. I wrote this book as an academic, but I am also a media man. In Germany, I was for 11 years, from 1990. To 2001. I was commentator on a major channel of German television, Zweites Deutsches Fernsehen. I was columnist and regular writer in Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, Spiegel, and Die Welt. So I have media experience, and when I write books, I do not write books for professors and students. I write my books for a general public. So it is an academic book in substance, but the language and the performance, it is for people to read it and understand it. Because if you take a strongly written academic book, you read 2 pages, it's difficult, and then you stop reading. So I want to be exciting. And I wrote this book for general public, but with an academic standard.
I see. So, but perhaps it was a little bit too exciting, apparently, for the reviewers.
But this is not the reason. I mean, because this is you see, I spent 18 years in Harvard. When my colleagues in Harvard write articles for New York Times, then they are admired. I was at the same time in Germany, and I was a regular writer almost every week for 13 years in Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, and this is a very serious newspaper. But in Germany, professors, so-called professors, German professors, they used to tease me as FAZ, CDF professor. FAZ is the new Frankfurt Allgemeine Zeitung daily, and CDF is the major channel. So to belittle of my importance, they say I am a journalist writing for Frankfurt Allgemeine Zeitung. I am a television man speaking on. But in the United States, this is an honor. If you speak on CNN and write in New York Times, then the president of Harvard or University probably would increase your salary because your outreach is a category in the United States. Outreach is as important as the scholarly signification of your writing. So the fact that my book is accessible to non-academic readers cannot be the reason for denying the book being published. The reason was in academic policing, and I use the strong words. Academic policing started in the United States already in the Bush years. In the Bush years, and they call this academic policing political correctness.
Right.
So I am a Muslim, but I am not allowed to write critically about my religion, and I do not allow any person to deny me freedom of speech.
But it's a terrible assault on the principle of academic freedom that some people, under the veil of anonymity, because you do not know who those reviewers were, I suppose, is it not?
At the end, I got to know two of them. And I'm most grateful to them. I will mention their names, because later on. But first, let me start with this. With regard to you, because I mean, I'm here to be presented and promote this book, and I wanted. But you see, I'm fair, and you are as important as I am. So you wrote a book on theoterrorism, and you wrote another book about freedom of speech,
the secular
and impositions to it. But now, when people listen to us, they think. Paul Cliteur is a professor, and because he's a professor, he is concerned about the fate of professors and their freedoms. But it is more than this. But if you are a modest thinker, I'm a radical one. So in your book on theoterrorism, you write how Islamists take hostage of individuals, Europeans, like the cartoons, or Salman Rushdie, or Rudi Carrel, and these are individuals taken hostage by the Islamists. And I wrote to you by then, and I wrote a preface to your book, in which I say the theoterrorism, it goes further. They take an entire nation into hostage. We are now in the Netherlands, so if you write the same things I write about Islam, people will take you hostage as enemy of Islam, of Islamophobe. I'm not Islamophobe.
No.
I go for enlightened Islam. But the Islamists are taking the whole country, the whole culture, into hostage, as a hostage. And this is theoterrorism is not only directed against individuals, is directed against a whole culture. And now I come to the point. And the point is freedom of speech, and in French, laïcité, secularity or secularism. These are not matters for professors like you and me. These matters of the entire European civilization. And as somebody who came, I was born in Asia. I was in India. I was teaching in India, and the next day I was going to Cairo, and I said there, I'm going to the Middle East, and Indian professors started laughing at me and said, "What did I say wrong?" He said, "Are you well educated in geography?" I said, I do not understand. He said, "You are going to Cairo, and you are going west." I was born in Syria, so Syria is not the Middle East. Syria is West Asia. So I am a West Asian. I am West Asian. I am yellow skinned. I am not a white man. I'm not European. But I came to Europe in the age of 18, and I learned throughout my years of study and research as a student, as a professor, among the basic accomplishments of European civilization is the separation of religion and politics and freedom of speech. And if we in the world of Islam, if we had both, probably there would be no wars in Syria, Yemen, Iraq, and Afghanistan. But now Muslim migrants are coming to Europe and bringing their culture of impediment of freedom of speech, impediment of the separation between the secular and the religious, and this is not a blessing for Europe. And I am a Muslim, I am a migrant, I'm Syrian, I'm a Syrian refugee, and I take the freedom of stating this. And so what happened to me in the United States, the attempt to prevent publishing this book, that was an assault not only on the freedom of speech of academics, it was an assault on Western cultures, done by Westerners. And my luck is the final two readers, it happened that I got to know them. One of them is dead, he passed away, and God, he's a Jew, and I as a Muslim, I pray to Allah that this Jew goes to heaven. I pray to Allah, Allah, ya Allah. I pray to Allah that this Jew, and his name is Bernard Lewis.
Oh, wow, the great Bernard Lewis.
And Bernard Lewis, I'm grateful to Bernard Lewis because he imposed with his academic weight, with his authority, said this book has to be published. Excellent. And the other scholar is the Jewish professor Jeffrey Herf. And I worked with Jeffrey Herf, and Jeffrey Herf and I, we published last year a book, Anti-Semitism Before and After the Holocaust.
Right.
And we, Jeffrey Herf and myself, we are in agreement in that book. If a Holocaust disaster would ever happen, would ever repeat it, it will not be in Europe, it will be in the Middle East. Why? Because the strongest anti-Semitism today is that what my friend and mentor Bernard Lewis calls the new anti-Semitism. It is Islamic anti-Semitism, and this book includes as chapter 3 a study of the Islamization of European anti-Semitism. And the strongest anti-Semitism today is in the Middle East. It is in Iran, it is in Turkey, it is in my home country, Syria.
Okay, I like to dwell longer on that anti-Semitism, but first I want to recapitulate something. In 2005, you were here in the Netherlands, you were in Rotterdam, you had a conversation with someone from Yale University Press. He invited you to make a book proposal. The book proposal was accepted. You wrote a book in 2009, and it was almost not published if there were no Bernard Lewis and Herf. I think it's a strange idea for me. I mean, it was really those people were very important, and it was almost possible for the other 9 or 10 reviewers to suppress such an important book. I think that's a very, very uncomfortable and ein unbequemer Gedanke that this is possible within the context of academia. But also an academic press, but such a high reputation as Yale University Press. I mean, it confronts me with all kinds of questionings about the usefulness and of that whole system of peer review. It can have disastrous outcomes, is it not? It does not contribute to the quality, but it suppresses new and controversial ideas.
I'm full agreement with you. You know, I started publishing in the United States. I moved to the United States and lived there, as I said, in parallel to Germany, not exclusively. Right. But my first year in Harvard was 82, and my first lecture in Harvard was on political Islam.
Right.
and it was published in the most important journal for Middle Eastern studies in the world, the Middle East Journal, published in Washington. No problem. They were peer reviewing, no problem. And the article, within few months, it was published in 1983. So 1 year after that. But the period of publication, submission, reviewing, copy editing, all together, less than half a year. This is not possible today. And so throughout the 80s and also in the early 90s, then I started to write books in parallel to German, and one of these basic books was also on political Islam, published by California University Press. The Challenge of Fundamentalism, Political Islam, and the New World Order. I had no problems. And then peer reviewing. Peer reviewing, I mean, for viewers who do not know what it is, peer reviewing means that if a scholar writes an article or a book and submit it to a press for publication, then the press sends the text to one or to two professors to review it, to ensure it is scholarly, it is according established standards, but only to check the intellectual and academic quality of the text, no more nor less. But today the peer reviewer, they check the political mindset of the text, and if they disagree with your mindset, and mostly these reviewers represent the prevailing mindset, then your work cannot be published.
Well, but this
means
disastrous.
This is the end of scholarship.
Well, yes. So, what can we do about it? Let me propose something. Shouldn't it be the case that, for instance, let's take some politically correct Islam scholars like John Esposito or someone like him. He will be very much opposed to your work, I suppose. Now, well, if he is one of those anonymous reviewers, then you have a big problem because you can't discuss with him. Make it open. I mean, so no anonymous peer review, but make a general discussion of it. That would be much more acceptable, I think, than have it under the cloak of anonymity.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look. But if you let's make a comparison. Peer reviewing and justice. If you there we go. God bless you. If you commit a crime and you go to court, you have been taken to court. You have the right to defend yourself. You can defend yourself, and you can take a lawyer who defends you. And this is equality. This is justice. But when reviewer accuse me of Islamophobia, I have no chance to defend myself. I am exposed to a theoterrorism, and I cannot defend myself. And then this is no longer a democracy. If somebody who is accused or she is accused cannot defend himself or herself, then this is the end of democracy. And therefore, I am against peer reviewing, and I consider it as a policing. So if you do not pass, you go to an interrogation, and in an interrogation you cannot defend yourself. In front of a court, in a democracy, you can defend yourself. But peer reviewing becoming an interrogation, an accusation. You are accused of Orientalism, accused of Islamophobia, whatsoever, and then you are a victim. And if you cannot publish in the United States, publish or perish, then you perish. And probably you instead of becoming professor, you become a taxi driver. And this is Western democracy today.
And you also with this system, you create a caste of scholars who will think, well, what I'm writing now, let's reconsider. This will not pass peer review, so let's rephrase it somewhat in a more cautious way, so I pass the peer review. That's a very strange situation. And
one of my friends is an Iraqi. He wrote a book in the early 80s under pseudonym. And the book was published by California University Press under the title "Republic of Fear," about Iraq. Right. Iraq under Saddam Hussein was a republic of fear. The worst things under Saddam Hussein is not the persecution, the killing, and the torturing of the opposition, but the atmosphere of fear. People are fearful. You are fearful that something evil could happen to you because you are against Saddam Hussein, and because you live in a fear. You control your behavior, you control what you say, and this atmosphere of fear is now determines the political culture in the West. In Germany, the worst. And I compare Germany with Syria. You see, in Syria, if I would open my mouth, I would be arrested, tortured, and probably in a few weeks be killed. In Germany, I'm free, I can move. But in Germany, believe me, I was top expert, not an expert number one. If you allow me to say this, on the Middle East and Islam. Like when I published my major book, Der wahre Imam, 96, one of the reviewers said, TB is arrogant, TB knows everything's better than all others, and he adds, but TB is allowed to do that because this is written in the Börsenblatt. This is the journal of the institution of the Bookmesse, International Book Fair in Frankfurt. But TB is allowed to do that. Why? Because there is no one in Germany who knows as much about Islam and the Middle East as he does, and therefore we allow him to do this conduct of arrogance. But I mean, the point is, I was accepted for 11 years as the authoritative source of knowledge about Islam and the Middle East. And today, no German newspaper publishes me. Nobody publishes me. I'm not allowed to talk in the media. So I am taken hostage. I mean, like this is theoterrorism, and there's the term Islamoleftism was coined by Pascal Bruckner in his book Imaginary Racism. So you have an Islamist theoterrorism, and you have a terrorism of the Islamo left.
Well, that's all very interesting. I think I want to thank you for this conversation, and I hope you will get a lot of readers. We have a book here which was almost suppressed, and I repeat that because I think that's very interesting. In 2012, a book that in a sense, and we're proud of that, of course, that originated here in the Netherlands, in Rotterdam. There the first idea arose, and I hope it will find many readers also here in the Netherlands. Thank you for this conversation.
And we say in Islam, Allah yubarik fiik, God bless you, and God bless the publisher, and thank you for opening a window of opportunity for me in the Netherlands. You know, historically, tolerance in Europe was born in your country. Tolerance is a Dutch virtue, and I hope you maintain it.